Are you ready to take your playing to the next level? Are you ready to add a spring in your step with your music? Are you ready to get motivated and inspired to learn? Well, you've come to the right place. You are just in time. Welcome to Timekeeping and a Metronome. I'm your host, Anna Metronome, and join me. Let's have some fun. Hi, I'm Anna Metronome, and welcome to Timekeeping and a Metronome. In this series, we'll be looking at the who, what, when, where, why, how, and answering all of your questions to do with timekeeping and a metronome. So sit back, relax, stay tuned, and enjoy yourself as we go through this together. The next thing I'd like to talk about is your practice setup. Very, very important to have a good practice setup. You want to be somewhere comfortable, somewhere that you can play comfortably and efficiently. And also, there's a few tips I can give you to work with that metronome. So first of all, you want to think about how you're going to use a metronome. You can get an app on your phone or tablet. There's all kinds of free apps that are great. You don't need anything fancy. I really like Metronome Pro and Metro Timer. Or you might want to get yourself a physical metronome device. It doesn't have to be one of the old-fashioned TikTok style metronomes. There's all kinds of great ones out there that are very affordable. So you want to make sure you have that. Next, you want to think about your placement. You don't want to have to reach too far. You don't want to have to go across the room to make an adjustment. You don't want to have to bend down on the floor. You want to have it somewhere that's very easy to reach so you can make an easy adjustment to the speed or whatever you need to do. You also want to make sure that you can hear your metronome well. So if you play a loud instrument, you might need to think about earbuds or using an external speaker to play that metronome through. Also, the sound of the metronome. So for me as a drummer, I don't like using metronome sounds that simulate drum sounds. So if I have a sound that's like a snare drum, then if I'm playing my drums over top, I can't hear it because my actual snare drum covers up the sound of the metronome. So I'll prefer something a little bit different. Take some time and experiment because you'll probably find one sound that you prefer a little bit more over the others, something that's maybe not so piercing or that's a little bit more clear that you can hear, and then use that sound. Also, there's often a light feature on the metronome, so you can see a flash of light that happens at the same time as the click, and that can be really useful too. Just keep in mind if you're using a Bluetooth speaker, there may be a delay between the device and the speaker and the light. One bonus tip for you is that often these apps have a timer feature, which I find really useful. I usually time all of my practice. I find it really helps me focus and really stay in the moment to what I'm doing. So I may set, depending on how I feel, I may set 5, 10, 15, 30 minutes. And that just lets me really focus in on what I'm doing at the moment, and I don't think about anything else. No distractions for that time. And then when that time is up, I may go, relax for a minute or have a stretch, and then come back to it. What's that, Freddie? Freddie's asking, why should we use a metronome in our music? Well, Freddie, I've got a few answers for you. The first reason to practice with a metronome is that it's very good to track your progress. So if you are working on a piece of music and you want to be able to speed it up, if you're using the metronome as a reference point, then you will have visual confirmation that you're getting better and you're improving, and it's a great way to feel good about your practice and your music and to track where you're going and what you're working on. It's also very good for increasing your rhythmic headroom, and what that means is the speed, fast and slow, that you can really push yourself. So if you're working on getting your faster tempos even faster with the metronome and your slower tempos even slower, you've got a bigger range of comfortable tempos, and the most comfortable ones in the middle will be really settled and even better. It's also great for helping you interpret tempos from a conductor. So when your conductor counts you in, maybe you'll have 4 beats, maybe you'll have 2 beats, but if you're more rhythmically accurate, you will get the speed and be able to keep it there from just 2 beats or just 4 beats, and that is through practice and working with that metronome. Working with a metronome also helps you play with other people better. It gives you more flexibility and ability to fit your part in to what else is going on, whether it be one other musician or many other musicians. Working with a metronome also helps you really learn about the space in between the beats and in between the notes of what you're playing. So in a musical case, if your conductor is changing the tempo, speeding up or slowing down, you'll be able to follow them easier if you have that awareness of the space between the beats. You'll appreciate pulse and groove much more through further practice and development with your metronome. It'll give you an appreciation for music as a listener as well as a player. You'll become more rhythmically aware overall, which is absolutely great in your reading, perhaps in your improvising if you improvise, and it'll make you an overall better musician. Through further practice with that metronome, you'll be able to know different speeds. Maybe not exactly, but if you have a piece of music that you're sight reading and you see the metronome marking at the top, before the song even starts, you'll have a bit of an idea of how fast it should be, and you'll be able to get a sense of how that song will be in that speed. And that's through the work with the metronome. A big aspect for me as a learner and as a teacher is that the metronome will give you the tools to self-learn and self-critique. So if you're practicing along to a piece of music with that metronome, you'll be able to identify the bits that need more work. Maybe there's a rhythm that you're getting a little bit tangled with, or it slows down, or it speeds up. If you're always playing with that reference, then it will show you what you need to improve on, and it'll also show you what you're really good at. So it gives you a great picture of where you are, what your strengths are, and what your weaknesses are. The metronome is also great to start feeling music as a full body experience, not just with the parts of the body you use to play your instrument. So in this series, we'll be looking at a lot of different things to really help you with that. This just in, folks. Breaking news. I'm delighted to report that we are now in the practical application segment of this video. Now we're going to do some basic metronome techniques without your instrument. So for this, we'll be clapping. So to go over some basic clapping technique, you want to be using your dominant hand. For me, that's my left. And keep your non-dominant hand stationary, so don't move it at all. Make sure your wrist is relaxed and your fingers are together, and play on the palm of your hand to get a nice clear sound that's not too loud. And it shouldn't be too tiring to do either. So for this, I'd like to work at 60 beats per minute. And I want to just play every other beat. So we're going to be playing minims. And the point of this is I really want you to line up your clap with the click. So really think about each time you clap, and is it bang on? And there's that space in between, that beat in between that you don't play, so that you can think, oh, maybe you need to make it a little bit further behind or a little bit further ahead so that you're bang on with the click. This is a very relaxing exercise. It's a really great way to focus your mind in and work on your time. And every professional musician works on these type of things. It's not something that everybody's born with. We have to work on it. And the better you get, the more refined your ear and your brain gets. And you can hear the tiny little movements that you need to make to get that bang on. So I'll do a little demonstration for you now. It's not going to be perfect because I'm not a robot. And I'm going to try my best. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the idea. So in between each clap, really think about how you need to change your next clap to get it bang on. It's a great way to just kind of settle yourself down, ground yourself, and focus on a very simple exercise. So next up, I want to do the same thing now with crotchets. So you've got less time to make that adjustment in your brain. See if you can get it on every single beat like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Something like that. So even within that, I heard some inconsistencies of how I can make it even better, even tighter with that metronome. Now, some of you may have experienced, if you're practicing with a click and you get off the click, you don't know how to get back on and you don't know what happened that got you off in the first place. There's an exercise that I really like to do in my teaching with my students to really help with that. And the trouble is, if you're playing with a click and then you speed up or you slow down, they both sound wrong, of course. They both sound different, and it's hard to identify which is which. So the same thing if you're playing along to a song, piece of recorded music. So a great exercise to do is start clapping along to that 60 beats per minute, and then see if you can slow down a really small amount, a really tiny amount. And it feels really, obviously really strange to do that. Then see if you can push it a little bit to get back on. And getting back on is a really, really important skill. Really good thing to be able to practice. Same thing with speeding up. So you'll get the metronome on, play in time, and then very slightly rush ahead a little bit and feel and hear how that sounds and feels different than slowing down, and then see if you can get it back on with the click. Very good thing to do to start being aware of what those two things feel like. Let's try it. So I'll play bang on with the click first, then I'll try and slow it down a really tiny amount and hear how that conflicts with the click, and then I'll try and bring it back. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's with the click. Now I'll try and slow it down. And now I'll try and speed it back up. Now I'll try and push it. Now I'll bring it back. Very subtle change, very small amounts. But in my experience and in my students' experience, it really helps a lot with just that awareness of the pulse and how to get back. Because the thing is, we're not robots, we're only human, and there's so many things that affect how we play with the click, how we're feeling that day, if we've had enough to eat, if we've had any caffeine. All these things can mess with us, if we're feeling nervous, all that kind of stuff. So it's really good to be aware of that and to know if things go off a little bit, how you can fix them. And as you get more experienced, your ear will get a lot stronger, and you'll just hear the tiniest adjustment you need to make, and that'll keep you on the straight and narrow with the metronome. What's that, Hal? Hal's right. It's time to incorporate your instrument. So now we've done some basic clapping work. It's really nice to start applying that to whatever instrument you play. So for this segment, you want to be playing things that you're really comfortable with. Scales that you know really well, even single notes, going just between a few notes, or a song that you really know quite well. You can be reading it, but you don't want to be kind of tripping on difficult sections. You want to be able to use most of your focus on your timing and your rhythms and working with the click. So this is a really good opportunity to just go through the basic rhythmic pyramid, working on different note values and really trying to get them to lock in with the click and get the transitions, because it's always the transitions between the different note values. So you can start with semibreves, then move on to minims, then you could play crotchets, quavers, quaver triplets, and semiquavers. There's some other rhythms in there, but those are the really nice basic ones to start off with. So use the same thing that you applied to the last segment, working with the click, really analyzing each note and how it fits in. I would like to focus on quaver triplets to start off. It's really important to get those really evenly spaced, and then that transition to semiquavers, which I'd like to demonstrate for you. So we're still at 60 beats per minute, and we want to think about fitting 3 notes per beat. Sometimes it's hard to kind of get into that feel straight away. Something that works very well for a lot of people is to think of a 3-note syllable that's evenly spaced out. Strawberry, 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 strawberry. That's a really good one. Da 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 da. That really helps. And then moving up to the semiquavers. Now with these, you want to be counting in your head 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. That counting is going to really help you divide each beat up into 4 evenly. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Let's go between as a demonstration, those triplets and those semiquavers, and then back. I'll do 2 bars of each, vocalizing the strawberry and the 1 E and a 2 E and a count. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Strawberry, 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 strawberry. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a strawberry, 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 strawberry. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So try that on your instrument. Try moving through different scales, different intervals, and try playing a piece of music. Maybe you can find something that has some triplets and some semiquavers in, and really working on going between those two. And just really get into that relationship with the metronome and start to hear the metronome as someone else that you're playing with, and start to hear how everything fits in to what you're doing. Think of this as a percussionist that's with you. So see if you can go through that, go through the pyramid. Try going in different orders, so go between minims and semiquavers, then, crotchets, back up to semiquavers. See if you can just do it in a different order, and it's a really nice time to focus in and still think about your consistency, think of your tone control, think about your note lengths. You want everything to sound really even. So if you're playing a long note, see if you can keep that tone all the way through the note. Think about the space between the notes. When you're playing your semiquavers, do you want to play them really short? Do you want to play them a little bit longer? Make a decision and be consistent with it. So good luck with that, and have fun. Finally, working on a specific piece of music. I have a couple more tips for you if you're going to play a song rather than just doing these exercises through your scales or your intervals. I really want you to start hearing that click, as I mentioned before, and how it fits in between or with or against what you're playing. For example, if you have a piece of music that has some offbeats, really see if you can hear that click bouncing off of what you're playing. So for example, if you have a song that goes da 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 da, something like that, really hear that click in between what you're doing and going between on the beat and off the beat, and just make sure everything's really locking in, and see if you can really internalize that pulse even when you're playing different rhythms over top. Really hear that click. Dun, 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 that kind of thing. In closing, I wanted to thank you for coming along with me on the first step of your journey. I've been Anna Metronome. This has been Freddie. This has been Hal. You've been you. And this has been Timekeeping Anna Metronome with your host, Anna Metronome. See you soon, and happy practicing!